Greetings and salutations. Let's see how many people show up tonight. Do, 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 do. There's one. There's one. There's one and only one. I don't know if the mic's working or not. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. What's up, Mike? How are you tonight? Happy New Year to you too, Mark. Yeah, I didn't do one last week because of the holidays, and I'm sure a lot of you celebrate the holidays, at least I do. I hope you all had a blessed and Merry Christmas. It's cold in Texas. Well, it's not here right now, but looks like the next of the week it's supposed to cool off. I'm fantastic. I mean, I'm doing as well as to be expected. I had Hybrid Muscle Garage reach out to me the other day, and man, I hadn't seen you in a while. It says, yeah, I've been kind of busy, had kind of some things happen, and I hadn't done any videos for a while because my editing machine is full. Um, it takes a lot of room to edit a video. I've learned I still haven't been able to get my new editing machine done. I've got to take and send the server board off to Super Micro out in California to have them fix it. So I've been scrounging to make things work. Then the computer that you see behind me, we have to use a computer to stream because I have YouTube TV and we stream TV. And a laptop I was using decided it didn't want to do it anymore. So I took my editing PC and put it over there, and it worked great. I mean, it was flawless, no problems whatsoever. But I was like, well, then I can't edit anything. Well, either that or I couldn't have any space anyway. So I forgot I had a couple of those still out there in my garage that were left over from my shop that I owned. And I was like, well, I'll see if I can do a few modifications to it. So I swiped the video card that I bought for my new editing machine and swapped around some memory to upgrade it. It's got 8 gig of memory in it. I think it'll take a maximum of 32 gig. It's a smaller machine, but it still does the job. But yeah, put that video card in it so I could have the HDMI output, and I run it to the TV and it works great. So then I got my editing machine back, and I found a portable hard drive that I had laying around that was virtually empty. So I was like, sweet, I can start putting some videos on that. So I've got a bunch of them I got to go through. Yeah. Well, not necessarily hoard. I seem to say, but I don't like to give things away. Um, although I have been thinning out a lot here at the house. Hey, Ice, what's going on? But yeah, I used to build computers all the time. Um, I did it for networking class when I went through networking to learn that kind of stuff in school and the IT stuff before it really became popular. But when I got out of it as an option, there were so many people, so many kids that were flooding the market that would work for pennies on the dollar, and I couldn't do it. So yeah, like I said, I've hung on to the stuff. I've still got some of my business stuff I'm trying to sell. I got still two laser printers that I'd like to sell that were expensive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can understand that. I've heard horror stories. I hope to God I never have to go down that path. But the anyway, so I've still got that stuff, and I got two more two more of those computers um, out there that great computers. I mean, for a bundle, I wasn't asking a whole bunch. Computer, keyboard, wireless mouse, and monitor. Windows 10 Pro on it for $150. I thought that's pretty dirt cheap. Um, well, Mark, I can say the best plan is just to make it better than last year. Anything's got to be better than last year. I'm so happy to put that year behind me. I hope this year is a whole lot better. And you know what I'm going with that, and I'm not going to go any further. I don't want to talk about it on this platform, but as far as projects are concerned, um, I'd sure like to get something done. Um, like I said, I've got about oh, I've probably got a dozen videos right now I've got to edit that I've got saved, and I was waiting to probably going to record another one or two tomorrow. Excuse me, while the weather's nice. It's supposed to be pretty decent. Um, Pretty decent here, not for the next week or so. It's supposed to cool off though for Florida anyway. Lows in the low 40s and highs in the upper 50s, low 60s. But it's been in the 80s here the last couple of days. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, Mike. All the way. All the way. I think last year was rough on everybody. I managed to make it to the half a century mark, so it's all downhill from here, so to speak. I hope it's not true, but hey. But it'd be really cool is if somehow by some miracle I could pick up a sponsor or something for my channel. That would be like fantastic. Um, so maybe I can uh, get more projects done, or it's a dream if my channel would blow up, but it's growing, just not real fast. But that's all right. The only thing I can do is what I can do when I've got time. I mean, I don't know if any of y'all have ever done YouTube or something like that, but it is another full-time job, so to speak. It takes a lot of time. Um, in fact, what I was going to do is I was going to track. Um, I was going to start actually writing stuff down or putting it in a spreadsheet or something like that of every time I work on something for a video or or something like that, because it's got to be some way to deduct it on taxes or something. Grandpa lived 105. My grandma lived to 90, 99. And I just lost my aunt, and she was 98. And man, that was a bum deal to hear about Betty White. They were all excited. It was just, a couple weeks away. She was going to make her 100th birthday. Lost a great actress, that's for sure. She was so funny. Of course, they don't say, that I'm sure she probably died of natural causes. She was the last of the Golden Girls, if you ever watched that show. B. Arthur kind of went way before I thought she would. But she'd started some other movies, other shows too. And she was another good actress. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? The only good Lord knows when it's my time when he gets my apartment ready in the sky, So we'll just play it by ear and take one day at a time, and hopefully I can stay in good health and go from there. But I'm looking to make this next year a whole lot better. I hope. I hope. Yeah, she was. She was great. She was great. Even just watching the reruns of the show was just great. I know she was the one that played the oldest one too. She was short and old, but she was what other show did she was in uh, the movie Mannequin. She didn't have any glasses on and her hair wasn't white or anything, but she played the older lady in the movie The Mannequin. I think that was the name of the show or name of the movie. But yeah, she was pretty bright gal. Of course, we lost a lot of good actors and actresses, I think, way before their time. A lot of good singers that were kind of helped, which I think MJ was deliberately taken out, and I think Prince was deliberately taken out. But amen to that. Because I tell you what, the media is doing a good job of scaring everybody to death. No pun intended. But I got to say it. I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I think it's ironic that, they were pushing that these cruise ships, 100% vaccinated people on these cruise ships, and they're having outbreaks on these cruise ships. Now, you can't tell me that jab works. I don't think I ever seen that one, Mike. Stop or Mama Will Shoot You. Shoot with Sylvester Stallone, huh? That's easy for me to say. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think I ever seen that movie. I'll have to look it up. But of course, one of my favorite actors was Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason was a great actor. He's a hell of a pool player too. Man, he could play pool. Hey, Stephen. What's happening, Captain? How are you over there in California? Start your engines. No, the kids are speaking. Yeah, I have to get that one. Richard Pryor movies were good too. They were pretty funny. You know that these these bloopers and outtakes have been popping up on my YouTube shorts. Oh my lord! I watched one today. I about died rolling. It was just so funny. Some of the stuff that gets said. Hang on a minute. I got to get the kids in. Are you better now? Are you better now? Bailey, I swear you bring every leaf you can in the house with you. Turkey, hold still. Only bad thing about long-haired dogs, they bring every leaf they can in with them. Yes, I did. I've got a video mark on that one. Just haven't got it edited yet, but yeah, I finished it. It's up and going. It's been going, and I've got a I've got an explanation to make on that too, because uh, one of the other uh, watchers commented on it, and he's right. I made a mistake on it. Um, and I guess it was kind of easy to just to think about, and just because you spot it. But I got in a hurry and said, "Oh, that's the problem," and guess what? It's not. Um, the Teflon seals on the stator support don't actually have anything to do with the 3/4 clutch. They're only there for the reverse input housing or reverse gear. So the actual root cause of the problem on this transmission was he was this truck is nowhere near stock. It has a stall converter in it, and it's full weight. It's not been lightened any, and he beats on it. I mean, that's just what it is. He beats on it. I mean, I knew that going into it. Uh, he drives with a heavy foot. I think we all did when we were that age, but that truck is not stock and it's heavy. So, you got a 4,500, 4,800 pound truck with a lead foot, big tires on it, and a stall converter. And that 3/4 clutch just said, nope, no more. And that is a problem when you use the thinner clutches to get more in there. Because that was an eight clutch pack. The only problem is it makes the clutches thin, and when they're thin like that, they build up a lot of heat. And what happened is it just got to the point where it overpowered it and it coned them. And of course, once it cones it, it puts all the pressure on the outside edges of the clutch, and it just burns it up. So, what I did is I went back with a Z pack on that one, which is a little better clutch in the way it's designed, specifically because of the pressure plate. Because the pressure plate actually has it's not flat on the pressure plate. It's actually stepped. In other words, you got two high spots on the edge, and it's kind of dips down in the center, and that distributes the pressure on the spots that get the most abuse. It has less chance of coning. The grip force is better, and they're also single-sided clutches. In other words, it uses the bottom of the clutch above it to grab. I mean, you'll see it in the video, but yeah, I mean, I put it back together and been solid as ever. And he told me, he says, "Man, I don't know what you did to that 3.4, but it's even more crisper than it was before." So that's all that all I need to hear. I mean, it had probably another 25 or 30,000 miles on it since I built. He drives this truck everywhere, and so they're not easy miles. The rest of the transmission was spotless. I mean, it was just fantastic. I was just thrilled to death. I mean, just the 3.4 just said nope, no more. So the actual cause is actually overstressing the 3.4 clutch, and so that's why it died. Mike, on the camper, I talked to them last week. I talked to them last week on the camper, and they are still waiting on an answer back from Dicor, which is the manufacturer of the roof material. So it's still up in the air what they're going to do with it. I'll be kind of bummed if they don't fix it, because I don't know that I'll fix it either, to be honest with you. Be one of those things where I may let somebody that's got time and the know how to do it. If they want to do it themselves, they can get a heck of a camper. So we'll just have to play it by ear. I'm praying that they do, but I'm not expecting miracles. I just know how companies like to work, and if they see it my way, then that'd be great. I still can't believe they actually told me that birds poked a hole in the roof like that. And I'm like, that's the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. But anyway. So yeah, I got quite a few videos coming up. I've got some of the camper videos. In fact, I think the camper videos I'm going to put on my other channel. I don't have any videos on that channel right now, but I figured I'd put them on there. I'm going to try to keep this channel for just the automotive content, and everything else that I do, I'll put on the other channel. Believe me, I'm not. Yeah, that's what they told me, Steven. It's the damnedest thing I ever heard. I don't know if I ever showed you those pictures or not. I'm sure I did. I got my phone up on the charger because I was thinking about doing the live stream from out there in the shop tonight, but I was like, nah, I'm going to do it in the house. Mike's a little better. I can read the screen a little better. I'm still fighting with these stinking glasses. They absolutely drive me crazy. I can't read with them. Well, I mean, I have trouble reading with them anyway, and they really suck to drive with. I actually got a pair of Oakley's sunglasses, and Yeah, it's pretty funny, Mike. Uh, the Oakleys that they got, they were perfect. I mean, they're the greatest glasses I've had to drive with, I think, ever. I can see as clear can be, and it's fantastic. But these glasses, however, just suck. Well, that's what I said, Steven. I mean, why would they pick through the roof? And then she feeds me this line. She says, "Well, it's happened quite a bit down here. We've had claims of birds eating through the roof." I was like, "Really?" I don't think that was the reason why this thing failed. I think the material just failed. I mean, it honestly looked like. Let me get my phone. You got to see these pictures. All right. That's not what I wanted. All right. All right. This hole, get that to focus a little bit. That little hole right there is what started the whole thing. That's next to a sewer vent, and I cleaned it up. That's what it looked like once I cleaned it up. That little hole there, and that to me looks like when somebody was screwing that cap down before they put the dicor on top of it. Somebody poked it with a screwdriver or something like that. That is not a bird hole. Um, so anyway, and you can see on the roof how it's uh, kind of sunk in around that sewer cap. I just, yeah, I don't. Here's an even better way to see it. I don't get it. I don't think birds cause that. So anyway, since then, I before I took it in there, that hole had gotten even bigger. So there's the hole before I took it in to have them look at it. It's like the material's like deteriorating around it. So I'm not sure what to think of that. And then I found another hole over on the edge. You can see it there about in the middle of the picture. That's a hole right there. I don't. We've had campers for 20 years, and I've never had as much trouble with a roof since it was replaced uh, 4 years ago. It The first roof lasted like 13 years, and the only reason why it was replaced is we've got a big ass tree out there at the end of our driveway, and I ended up getting too close to it and then caught the corner of the cap on the top, and it ripped the cover, ripped the membrane a little bit. So they said, "Well, you just ought to replace it." So okay, so they replaced it, and actually insurance took care of it for me, which was great. And And then, 4 years later, I'm having this trouble with it when the first one I got 13 years out of. That just means it wasn't put on right in my book. Now, granted, most of the time it's spent up north in the cold and everything else, but still, um, it sat outside the whole time up north. I mean, there's other than we're closer to the equator and the sun's a little more intense. I can't see it. I'm just not grasping it. But we'll see what they say. Like I said, I'll be bummed if they don't fix it, that's for sure. That camper's really been good to us. Hey, Michael from Oklahoma. Very nice, very nice. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. Like I said, I mean, hopefully they'll tell me something. Maybe this next week, maybe. She says they're not real fast about getting back. But, I've been trying to get a hold, nobody's ever called me from Camping World either. And I never have liked Camping World that much anyway. But, if they're, the only reason I went back there is they're the ones that originally put the roof on. So, but we'll see. Anyway, well, I actually finished, believe it or not, my first TR 6070 manual transmission for a C7 Corvette. Last manual transmission I did was a T56, and that was a long time ago. I'd never been in a TR 6070 yet, and let me tell you, it was a pain in the butt. I'm sure I could do one a lot quicker this next time if I have to, but I doubt I'll never ever have to do one again. And I had to put blocker rings in it because he was complaining of once it gets, he says it's tough to get in gear. Well, Michael, the stall converter depends on the cubic inch of your engine. It depends on what cam you're using, where the power band lies, what gear ratio you're running. It depends on a lot of factors. When you got an engine that makes a lot of torque, like a stroker or something like that, you don't need as much. Stall. If you got something that doesn't make a lot of low end power, you want more stall so you can get the engine up into the power band better. The thing you got to remember about stall converters, anytime you put one, you've got to have a good transmission cooler on it. And you got to have a way to regulate the temperature. If you guys just run a straight transmission cooler for, if you're doing it for the strip, that's another story. But for a street car, you really want it to run through the radiator and then through the cooler. It has a better chance of regulating the temperature for the transmission, because you don't want to run them completely cold, because the fluid won't get to the spots where you want it to get it as efficient as you think. And so, say for instance, you got a let's take for instance 2 different engines. You got a big block, so you got a big block 468, and you got a small block 350. You're not going to want to run the same converter on those 2 engines because they don't create the torque at the same RPM. Big block's inherently going to make more torque, so you need less converter. The small block you'll have to spin it higher to get the same kind of torque output. If that makes any sense. And again, gear ratio has a lot to do with that. What's funny? Well, I didn't use all of it. You're supposed to refrigerate it, so it said refrigerate after opening, so I threw it in there. You're welcome, sir. Be good on graham crackers, if we had any. Be like a s'more without the marshmallow. No. Anywho, so what's your all's plans for the new year? You guys got any big projects gonna go on, or still continuation of last year's projects? Excuse me. I'm using a 2800 on my 383 with a 700R4 stage 3 street strip. When I have it in drive, it goes back and forth between drive and third. Michael, what gear ratio are you running in the rear end? To me, 2800 is a little steep on a 383 unless you got a monstrous cam in it. It doesn't have a lot of cylinder pressure. I had I built a 355, all-roller 355 for my it does what? What rear gear? What's your ratio? Stock rear end came up with 83 Z28. Okay, so it's probably got a 308 maybe, which is kind of low. I guess it all depends on what option it had in it. You know, they could have come with a bunch of different gear ratios, but 83 would have been the first year for a 700R4, but I don't think they put them in the Camaros back then. The only thing I can think of that's causing it to go in and out of third and fourth is possibly a TV cable adjustment. Or it's got an issue with the governor. If the governor weights aren't exactly right, it can cause that. If the governor springs are, let's see, if the governor springs are too, if they're too tight, does it do it at any speed? Mark, that sounds like a fantastic resolution. Hey, do that, you wouldn't have to work anymore. But then the vultures would come out from the woodwork. But yeah, I mean, if the governor springs are too tight, it would hold the gear a little bit too long. But that in combination with the TV cable adjustment, I seem to remember there being something I read about. Maybe a boost valve in the pump's not big enough. Just cruise. Okay, so it only does it on light throttle. I would do a TV cable adjustment and see where that gets you. Tighten it up a notch. Either tighten it up a notch or loosen it a notch and see where that gets you. Obviously, you need to make sure that you got the correct bracket on there for the TV cable. But yeah, I would try tightening up the TV cable maybe a notch and see how that does for you. Went through the same thing with L to the W's. He was saying that it just seemed like it would take forever. It would hold the gear a long time. You know, I built that one because I figured he was going to beat on it pretty good. And he emailed me, said it was doing it. I says, make a small TV cable adjustment and see where that gets you. And he did that, and he said it was great after that, and it's been fine ever since. His is a little different though. He's got a first TPI on his, so the cable, the bracket that the cable attaches to is quite a bit different. It's kind of in my book, and that's probably the reason why I wouldn't get one of those. In my book, the cable attachment is not very well sought out. Now, I mean, if you wanted to run a different ECU and set up on it and run one with a drive, you can run a tune port on a like an LS1 computer. You can convert it. let's see, Lawrence T. Holman made he had a big block Suburban that he converted the old black box style 99 to a new style ECU, which was an 0411, I do believe it was. And he swapped everything over. And it, of course, the old 7.4 J motors that got a distributor on them. So he was able to convert it and make everything work. And that way he got tunability and its electronic controls. So I don't see why you couldn't do that same kind of setup. Hey, yeah, on rebut. Why you couldn't use the same thing. Let's see, because I don't think Yoda, cut it out. Why you couldn't use that to run a tune port. If you did that, you could run a 4L60E, which then you wouldn't have any trouble at all. I'm not sure that that's not the way I'm going to go with Scarlett. I'm not sure yet. I've got to do some more research to see what's going to work. Because, I mean, the processor is so much faster in the later model ones. You got tunability. You can control more stuff with it. It's just a better ECU. Plus, if you got OBD2, you've got live data that you can see. So, I mean, that's kind of a bonus on top of that. The tune port, you can use Tuner Pro and for the tune port and see data there, but you're still kind of limited. Plus the with a late model ECU, you've got misfire diagnosis with OBD2, which would be real handy if you're trying to chase down a dead hole or something like that. So, the thoughts are there. Just no matter which way I'm going to go with it. I'm not sure yet. Of course, I'd like to do drive-by or coil on plug too, and no distributor, but we'll see what happens. It's a cost thing more than anything. If I can just get it running on what I got, I'd be okay with that too. I just want to get out and drive one again. I've just been so long since I've had an F-car to drive. Mike, I get that. But right now, between the side projects and work in general, it's about what it ends up being. So, anywho. I don't know if y'all seen my Instagram post of this TR6070 that I did. There's a picture of it disassembled on the bench. That's a mess of gears. It's crazy how big that thing is. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, that's the back end of a C7. That's when I was getting the whole assembly out as a unit. The way GM wants you to pull it is not the way I pulled it for sure. I wasn't going to pull half the stuff they wanted me to pull off. Like I said, I just don't have to do many of those. Michael, I would love to get Scarlet up and going. I'm kind of anxious to get there myself. You have a great weekend also. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you on the next live stream or anything like that. Again, if you guys ever want to drop me an email or something, feel free. It's just irockinz@gmail.com. If you want it on a little more personal level. And of course, if you got something that's just desperate or something you need to actually talk to me on, just let me know. But I feel truly blessed to be where I'm at. So, speaking of trucks, I was at, I built a couple of transfer cases and Eric's transmission I repaired for him after that Goofy finally picked it up. And I had his other truck that he had. He's got an 05 1500 HD, and the transfer case blew up on it. And I honestly think that this guy whoever he bought it from, never put any fluid in the transfer case. You'll love to see this video when it comes out. You'll have to pay attention for it, but I think it's got to be the worst transfer case I've ever taken apart. Holy cow, did it! And it just the stink of burnt metal. I mean, there's some smells you never forget. One of them's burnt transmission. The other one's burnt metal in a transfer case, and the other one would be a burn up rear end. Well, Ice, I seen part of your message, but must not been to your liking. You pulled it back down, so it's all good. But this thing was bad. So anyway, he picked up another on a 1500 HD. It's got a 4L80 in it, but it's got a 246 transfer case, the automatic transfer case, which I thought was kind of odd. So he had found another 246 transfer case, but it was out of a half ton, which is a 4L60. Well, the splines are not the same on the two transfer cases. So he brought it to me to see if I could fix it, and I couldn't save anything out of that other transfer case. Long story short, I ended up having to get a input shaft and a planetary set to stick in there. Well, I almost got through at that time, Ice. Something about the wire for the kick down and for the gas pedal. Mike is as in what on '07 Colorado? What particular? Speaking of Colorados, they made those with you had an option in like one of the years for a V8 in those. You could actually get one with a uh, 5.3 liter. No, that's just that's a pass through connector ice. There's just an O-ring on that, if I remember right. It's pretty simple. I mean, you can replace that pass through and just with a new O-ring, and it can leak through that. In other words, the little plastic piece with the terminal that comes out of the center, they can separate over the age, get brittle and separate, and it'll actually leak through where the terminal is, not around where the O-ring is, but the terminal itself. So I'd replace that whole pass-through piece if it was me. Mike, they're pretty decent trucks. I mean, for the most part. I mean, we didn't work on a whole lot of them. The first models that they came out with were terrible about uh, timing chain issues, um, oil pressure, and if they got a 4 or the 5 cylinder. Um, but other than that, I mean, as long as you keep the oil changes on those are critical. But of course, they're based off the 4.2. I mean, everything's the same on it for the most part. Oh well, if you got a new engine or rebuilt engine and transmission in it, I'd definitely snag it. It's not going to hurt you none. They're good, strong runners. Like I said, if it's got the 4 or the 5 cylinder on it, either one. The 4 cylinder you usually usually get a manual with it. The 5 cylinder I think only came with an automatic, but they're decent trucks. Just got to remember there's more Isuzu on them than anything. But for the most part, they were pretty reliable. Excuse me. It's a 5 cylinder, yeah. They just got a different exhaust note to them, but they're a smooth running engine. Yeah, I hear you. Like I said, there's a year that you could get those with a V8 in them. There's an old boy that's been up there to our shop a couple of times. He's got a super clean Colorado 2-wheel drive standard cab. Get the standard cab, no less, with a 5.3 in it, an automatic. And I mean, the thing is just spot on, super clean. I mean, the engine fits in there with plenty of room to spare. And he's got the wheels look like they came off of Oh, that Tahoe hybrid. They had different wheels on the Tahoe hybrid. Um, and they were it was just super clean. One of my fellow technicians said he goes, I can't unsee that. Which means he'd like to have one. I think he just recently bought a Miata for another project car. I think he's going to V8 swap it, which wouldn't be surprised. That's a pretty common swap. If you guys watch Taylor Ray, he drifts a Miata. Yep. Yep. I like that body style S10 anyway. Well, it depends on what you're looking for. I know there's a old boy down here that's got I think he's got an 88 Suburban. Looks like it needs a little work, but it's the old square body. Two-tone blue interior. And I think it's a 3/4 ton, as a matter of fact. It's got a big block in it with a 400 turbo. I don't know what he's wanting for. I think the last time I seen it, he was wanting like $1,500 or $1,800 for it. It had potential. It definitely had potential. Finding those square bodies anymore that aren't all rusted out is just it's getting tough. That's one thing down here in Florida and north southern Georgia. Man, you can find some really nice stuff that's not all rusted out. I mean, that's how I found Scarlet. And if I don't get after Scarlet here pretty quick, I'm gonna end up causing myself a lot more work. I am going to order a car cover for that dude. See if I can call a couple of companies and see if maybe want to do a swap, some advertising or some plug-in for maybe a cover or two. So I'd like to get one on that other Camaro I got also, but we'll see what happens. And of course, then there's the donor. I'm trying to get rid of Charlie also, which is my Sable. Wow. That's dirt cheap. An 89 Suburban, Mike? Is that what you're saying? 89 Suburban? Because an 89 Suburban should have the fuel tank in the rear, and that's a 40-gallon, I do believe. That's freaking dirt cheap. Remind me where that is, Mike. Where is up here? Oh, wow, in Indiana? And you got one that's flawless up there? That thing must never seen the snow. Did you know I came from Missouri, so I know what the Midwest is like. That's why old Bertha's as rusty as she is. Man, I wish it wasn't so far away. I'd come get it. I'd never hear the end of that, though. Wow. That's pretty cool. Yep, his an 89 Suburban will be the old square body. Should be. Because they didn't move, they didn't go to the new body style on the Suburban until 92, I think it was. So that would be an old square body. Wow. That's pretty badass. Man, I would if it was me, Mike. Yeah, that's worth it. Because, like I said, those square bodies are tough to find, and the looks of those never gets old. The problem you see down here with with them down here in Florida is the sun beats the hell out of everything. Uh, if you don't have anywhere to put it on, out of the direct sunlight during the day, it'll just flat tear up the paint, and that's what's happening on Bertha. My roof's gone on pretty much on Bertha. I still got that cab to get, but I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Yeah, 92 they went to the OBS, and then they carried that one all the way up until 99, and then 2000 they switched over to the new body style. On the new body style on the Suburban and the Tahoe, and then the pickup they carried over until 2000, and then 2001 they went to the new body style on the 3/4 ton pickups. But 99 was the first year for the new body style on the half ton pickups, and half ton pickups and light 3/4 pickups. I think that's right, if I remember correctly. But anyway, yeah, love those old square bodies though. Oh my goodness, they like I said, the guy dropped off the transmission and the transfer cases too. He was up in town around the corner uh, from my work there in Gainesville, and the name of the shop, the hot rod shop, is C10 Chevy Guys, and you should see some of the freaking pickups he's got there. Oh my God, they're so freaking gorgeous. He likes a lot of the standard cab short beds, and he finds them, pretty decent. And there's a couple of them that are lowered, and uh, there's this one two-tone. He said the motor's completely stock, but it's a two-tone red and burgundy standard cab short bed. It's got a C notch on the rear. Just beautiful truck. I was like, man, I would love to have something like that as a daily driver. So I don't have to put miles on the Honda. But that's okay. Get Scarlett running. I'll drive it daily. I don't mind. I build something, I'm going to drive it. That's for sure. That's true, Mike. I bought, when I worked at one of the dealerships up in Missouri, um, oh boy, come in uh, with an '89, had a camper shell on it, and transmission went out of it, and I offered the guy $300 for the truck, and he said sure. So I bought a standard cab, long bed, 2-wheel drive pickup for uh, $300. Engine ran sound. It had the typical valve stem seals, smoke a little bit on the startup, but truck ran like a top. So I pulled the transmission out, went through it, and put it back in, and I put some good tires on it. And a buddy of mine had some aluminum takeoff wheels off of a newer half ton, so I got those and stuck them on there. And I put some good highway tires on it. Dude, that truck was so comfortable to drive, so smooth. I was like, this is flipping awesome. And I got it so my dad would have something to use. And then I ended up keeping it for the most part. And I eventually sold it, but um, it was originally from Iowa, so it was pretty rusty too. But it was still a good truck. Everything worked on it. So mother-in-law had a 92 extended cab, light 3/4 ton, that had those Goodyear commercial TAs on it. Man, that truck was so super smooth going down the road. It was unreal. She wanted a transmission put in it, and she got one from Certified Transmission, and I'd do that transmission shift like crap. I mean, it held because it was a $700 R4 in that year. This is what they put in the light 3/4. I think they were only 7,200 GVW back then, but I really wanted to keep that truck because it did. But when we lost mother-in-law, we had to liquidate assets. So she had 4 cars. She had a Cadillac sedan DeVille. That was a good car. 96, had a North Star in it. That thing ran like a scalded dog. Holy crap. She had a Toyota Celica GT convertible. I think it was a 97 or something like that. Black on black. Really nice car. Sold that to a couple of nice folks that just enjoyed the hell out of it. Then she had 5 cars. She bought a Ford E250 passenger van with a 351 Windsor in it, and the E4OD. I don't remember what year it was exactly. It was probably a 95, 96, somewhere in there. It was before they went to the mod motor, so it probably would have been a 95. But she took all the seats out and made a little camper out of it. It was pretty cool. Gave that to the handyman that they had, and then he turned around and sold it, which we thought was kind of a bunch of crap. But anyway, and then she had that Ford Escape that we have, old Bessie. And when we got Bessie, it had 88,000 miles on it, and it's got 288,000 miles on it now. And she's still going. In fact, I got to do a little repairs to it. The wife comes home. She goes, I drove my truck to work, take those transmissions. So I drove I drove it, and she says, "I'm gonna take the Honda today." I says, "Okay." He says, "I started up the car and it sounded so bad. Sounded like lifters ticking or something like that." And I started up last night. I says, I'll look at it when I get home. So I started up and it starts clicking its butt off. And what it is, I think the cooling fan, I think, is finally cracked. Uh, and it sounds like the motor's actually dying on it. So it's the original cooling fan module. It made it that long. So I ordered a new radiator because the radiator's starting to leak over there too. That's the original radiator, believe it or not. So I ordered a new radiator and a cooling fan module for it. So I got to swap that out on old Bessie, and she still keeps motoring along. So I'm hoping to get 300,000 out of her, but we'll see how it goes. But trying to thin some things out around here at at the house. I really need to get on that donor and get what I'm going to do on the donor done. The donor Camaro. Going to start working on getting the tune port back together and see if I can get that old girl to fire up, find out what happens. Chineseism parts. Yeah, I stuck with pretty much it, well, except for the cap and rotor that I got for it, but I got I got a set of replacement injectors for it because the old ones were locked up, and they're actually Ford injectors, which won't hurt anything. They're the same style, but they're 24 pound per hour injectors. They're like stock what Ford used. GM, I think, had 19 pound per hour injectors. So Mark, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you in the next one sometime. So Happy New Year to you also. Be safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. But yeah, I've got I bought a cap and rotor, and I got some wires there here in my shop that I can repair the ones that are damaged. I just want to see if I can get it running. I think it'd be cool. I'm not expecting miracles. It does turn over. I did order a new starter for it because every time I get in there to try to do anything with it, the starter doesn't work. So I ordered a new one off of Amazon. I think it was like $56. That's cheap. Y'all watching my videos and stuff like that is what's supporting some of that stuff. But I got those new reman injectors. So I got to put all that back together and the fuel rail back together, and I want to look down the intake, and I need to make sure that there's no critters trying to live down in the port since I've had it open for so long. Make sure it's not full of water. I forgot to bring my camera home. I was going to bring I've got one of those digital Wi-Fi borescopes. Man, that's the best freaking money I've ever spent on a tool. I mean, that thing is just cool as all get out. And it'll actually record video. It'll record video as well as take pictures. Check this out. So This is a this is me looking at a turbo on a Duramax I'm working at the other day, and this is how clear that thing is. It was the best money that I've ever spent on a bore scope. It wasn't expensive. I bought it off the tool truck. You can buy them cheaper, but I bought this one off the tool truck because I needed it right away. And it was like, I think it was $83. Well, that's me pulling the camera back out, but that's a picture of the cow. You can see my phone sitting there, so it's actually taking a picture of my phone. But uh, that thing was worth every bit of it. But yeah, the video was super clean. Um, yeah, I looked at the Autels, but this was so much cheaper than the Autel was, and you really can't beat the picture. Now, granted, the Autel's kind of nice because everything's all packaged into one deal. That camera there works off of Wi-Fi. You basically you log you Wi-Fi into it when you start the program. Uh, you turn it on, you find the Wi-Fi signal, and then you start the program, and it works. I mean, that's all there is to it. Um, but best money I've ever spent for something that I don't use on a regular basis, but it is nice to have. It's got me out of that pickle. It got me out of another pickle here not long ago. Can't remember what the heck I used it on, but I was putting the Duramax back together, and I was trying to get we'd put this. I don't know if anybody of you have worked on a Duramax, but the starters, of course, on the right side of the engine, and I had to take I had to do a rear main or a flywheel housing. I had to take the flywheel housing off the back of the engine to replace two O-rings for the coolant leak that it had. And you have to take the upper pan off of the engine to get that rear cover off because there's two dowel pins in there that holds it together. Anyway, so I put it all back together, and I forgot that we didn't put the dipstick back in the hole uh, when I put the upper pan up. And he had the kid that I'm training put the starter back in, and I was like, "Crap! How am I going to see if that thing is in the hole or not?" Because you can't see anything once that's in there. And so I was like, so I shoved that dude back behind that uh, solenoid on the starter so I could look down at the pan rail and I could see clear as day where that hole was, and got the dipstick tube to go right back down in that hole. And so that saved me a heck of a lot of time in a pickle. So it's paid for itself. Yeah, Mike, think with your. I knew somebody would come up with that if I said something about that. That's got to be one of the best commercials that they ever made. Think with your dipstick, Jimmy. That was great. But yeah, I'm like you on the tool thing. I pretty much got everything I need anymore, but uh, there's every once in a while there's one that pops up that you could really use. Uh, that that you'll use. You buy it and you think, oh, I'm gonna use that one freaking time, and then you end up using the hell out of it, and then you're thankful that you got it. Just like those spline drive sockets that Matco's got. Um, the exhaust manifold nuts on an LS are notorious for sticking. I always try to get those off when the thing's stone cold. You got a better chance of getting the nut off of the manifold. But I had one that rounded the bolt pretty good. And I got my 15 millimeter spline drive up on there and it buzzed it right off. I was like, oh, I was just so tickled. I try to avoid Harbor Freight tools, to be honest with you, Mike. There's some things that I get in there, um, but there's some things that are just pure crap. Um, I tell you one thing that I really like in Harbor Freight is the Daytona Jacks that they got. I've had 3 of those now, and the only reason why I've had 3 is I sold one of my old that I had at my other shop. I had one that somebody decided they wanted more than I did, and so I ended up buying another one for here at the house. That's why I won't take one of them up there to the shop because I know it'll grow legs. Uh, because they think it's a shop tool. Um, but I love the Daytona Jacks. Been great jacks, good heavy jacks. Yeah, I had to buy one of those spark plug extractors for the damn Ford Triton motors, those 5 Ford pieces of junk. Um, I was so glad when they dropped that thing in the later years. But man, I hated doing tune-ups on them damn things. I never had good luck getting them spark plugs out of there without breaking at least one, no matter what I did. But yeah, it's just so convenient that we have one walking distance from our shop at work. I mean, it's just right across the street. So you need something in a pickle. Now, what really bothers me is the fact that they buy a lot of our shop tools from there, which they suck. I mean, they're terrible. The uh the engines, the cherry picker that they got is one of those collapsible cherry pickers they bought from there. And the thing is so flippin' lightweight. It's not made for the kind of use that we put it through because we pull a lot of engines with that thing. In fact, the ram's already gone out of it once. Uh, it's not heavy enough. This one that I've got out in my shop here at the house, the metal on it's twice as thick. It weighs a crap load, but you don't have to worry about the thing ever failing. I mean, it just works. And then they've got one of those 20-ton presses that's way too short. Um, I mean, yeah, it works, but I mean, how about some good quality tools to work with instead of this crap, you know? Yep. Yeah, Mike, I'm right there with you. They were terrible. I never was nuts about the way those engines ran. I mean, they were all boasting about the overhead cam, but the problem is they don't make, for some reason, an overhead cam engine does not make torque like a push rod engine does. Um, but you know, the 2022 Corvette that they're coming out, when they went to flat plane crank, and it is an overhead cam engine, from what I understand. We haven't had a whole lot of training on it yet, but yeah, from what I understand, it's designed that way. So we'll uh, we'll see how that works out. I mean, I doubt we're going to see any of them. I wish I would have seen them come out with more of the Blackwing V8s that they were putting in the Corvette or the Cadillacs. That's supposed to be a bad mamma jamma. Speaking of Cadillacs, supposedly, um, they have. I know this is way off base, but I don't know if you guys ever watched the series of Ray Donovan on on Showtime. Be a straight 6, 3 on the tree. Yeah. Yeah, you can hardly blow them dudes up. But Ray Donovan drove a Cadillac in that. I just seen an advertisement that they're having Ray Donovan the movie come out. And I am like all over that. I need to find out if they've Prime Video. Your channels. I do have Showtime. Doesn't say when the movie's coming out though. Horror movies, comedy series. Huh. I guess I just don't have it out yet, but yeah, I'm gonna be watching that once it comes out. That would be cool if they did make one about Carol Shelby. They had that one that came out that Matt Damon played in it, and it was Matt Damon and what the hell was his name? The dude that played in Titanic. I can't think of his name, but I thought it was those two that played in that movie about the GT 500 and Ferrari or something like that. It was some badass movie. What was it, Christian Bale? I was way off on that, wasn't I? But anyway. Oh, my poor wife. God bless her. She started a new job. She got hired on they just built a brand new KFC here in town. And she got hired on to work there. And they have just been running her to death. I'm planning on surprising her. Shh, don't tell her. I'm gonna get her a one of those shiatsu massage chairs. I'm just gonna order it and surprise her with it. because she's got back problems and feet problems and leg problems and all sorts of problems. But depending on how things go, I'll hopefully be able to get her on insurance, because she's not going to be able to get insurance where she's at either. But this chair that's behind us is a massage chair, and it's just flat wore out. It's probably from the 80s or something like that, and it's all falling apart. And she just needs a new chair. And I'm going to break down and get her one. Oh, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to 2022. And things have got to get better. They just have to. Yeah, they're pretty pricey. I agree, but believe me, she's worth it. Any woman that can put up with me as long as she has, she's worth it. Love her to death, even though she doesn't think I do. Good Lord. I bet she does with 3 spine fractures. But I know she'd enjoy it, especially since it's got the leg and the feet massager thing on there. Because that's what bothers her a lot. And I'd imagine it'll put her to sleep a couple of times. Well, hell, even as uncomfortable as that chair is, I can fall asleep in that, dude. I don't even have to turn the massager on. The thing's uncomfortable as hell. It's all broke down. I've had it up in the air, and there's one of the springs that goes across the cushion at the bottom is broken, and the motor that sits on the bottom of it's broken. It's old, and it's just wore out. I mean, it's had its fair share of use and abuse. There's a bunch of different companies that have been popping up that have got the same chair on there, but I don't know which one to go with. Man, that thing's dusty. Blink, blink. But they were all offering sales on them too. Sales. Excuse me. Goodness. But at any rate, well, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a video out for you tomorrow, but yeah, Mike, we've got one of those handheld massagers, and in fact, I just gave her a massage tonight. I give her a massage on a regular basis, almost every night. She just hurts that bad all the time. Quit tearing up the couch. But, well, y'all, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to get some sleep and get up in the morning. Enjoy the day. Got football tomorrow, I do believe. the last game of before the playoffs. So Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everybody has a fantastic year. I hope you all had a blessed and Merry Christmas. So y'all take care of yourself. Take care of each other. God bless you and God bless America. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.